Okay, looking at problem number 5. Number 5 says, a rectangular plot of land having area 1,350 square meters is to be enclosed and divided into 2 parts. Find the dimensions of the plot if the total length of fencing used is 180 meters. So what we're saying here as we're looking at this is we have this plot of land and we're taking it here and all of this large rectangle here, right? I'm just kind of overlapping it in blue. This is all going to be fencing all around this large rectangular plot, and we're going to have fencing that splits the lot in half. Okay, so what we need to do here is they've given us a little bit of information. They said that the area is 1,350 square meters, and the total length of fencing used is 180 meters. So when we think about a rectangle, right, we know that we're going to have these opposite sides are going to be, the same length here. So I'm going to take this side here. I'm going to call this X. Okay, we'll call it like the width of the land, right? Let's let X equal the width of the plot of land. And then I'm going to actually, let me do this. Let me label this. So I know that this distance is X, right, on the outside. And then we also have a third distance of X there of fencing right through the middle. Now we can also take here and define, let's let Y equal the length of the entire plot of land. Oops, length of the plot of land. Okay, so I'm going to call this entire thing Y. Okay, some of you I saw in class as you're working out there, you may have called like this Y and this Y, which you can do, that's totally fine. That works out as well. So whichever way you did it there, it should end up giving us the same answer in the end, as long as you're giving what it's asking for. So when I look at this here, I'm going to think about this side here, right, is also going to be a distance of Y. I'm just going to write it above the problem up there. And I'm going to use this information that was given to us. So the first thing I'm going to do here is look at this part about the 180 meters, right? So if I add up all this fencing together, the amount of fencing I have would be 3 X's plus 2 Y's should equal 180. My second equation will come from the area. We all know that length times width equals area. So I'm going to say here that X times Y should equal 1,350. So now we need to just solve to figure out what the values of X and Y are going to be. And you can do this a variety of ways. I don't know, the way that I think I'm going to do it here, I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to isolate one of the variables. Let's choose Y. We're going to get Y by itself in here. So when we do that, we're going to have 2Y is equal to negative 3X plus 180, right? I subtracted my 3X from each side, and then I'm going to divide the whole thing there by 2. So I have that Y is equal to negative 3/2 X plus 90. And let's use that expression, right, that equals Y right here, and let's plug it in for Y in that other equation. So we've got here X, instead of times Y, we're going to say times negative 3/2 X plus 90 should equal 1,350. We'll go ahead and distribute our X through here. So we have a negative 3/2 X squared plus 90x, and that still equals 1,350. I'm not a huge fan of having -3/2 in there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it here and get rid of the fraction. Now you could get rid of the negative and the fraction if you want to at the same time. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the fraction for right now. And when I multiply everything by 2, I now have -3x squared plus 180x is equal to, what is that? That'll be what, 2,700? And then I'm just going to move everything over to the same side. When I do it here, I'm going to think about just moving, my left side over to the right side by doing the inverse operations. But when I rewrite this here, just so nobody's confused, I'm going to say this is 3x squared minus 180x. And then since I moved them over to the right side with the 2,700, that's still going to be a positive. I just don't have a lot of room on here to do stuff, to do multiple steps. So what we're going to do now is just take it, finish solving it here. 3 is a factor of all the numbers in our trinomial, so we'll factor out that 3, and we're left with x squared minus 60x plus, and let's see, that would end up being 900 equals 0. And when we take that here, that should factor again into our, let's see here, 900 factors of 900 that add to 60. Well, that's easy. That's going to be -30 and -30 there, which means that when we solve that, x minus 30 equals 0, x equals 30 meters. So that means that each of these sides here, this is going to be 30 meters of fencing. That's 30 meters of fencing. And on our other side here, this is also 30 meters. To figure out what y is, right, we know that, you can do either equation there. X times y equals 1,350. You could do that. So we're going to say 30 times y is equal to 1,350. Okay, so we put it in for our x in that equation. We divide each side by 30. And what we end up with there, I believe, is 45. And you can double check your math there. You can use a calculator to help you with that one there. But that means here that the length of this side here is going to be 45 meters. And up here is going to be 45 meters. So to check it, let's just think about it here. 45 and 45 is going to be 90 meters, right? This is like our check. And then we've got another 90 meters from our x's there. So 90 meters plus 90 meters is going to give us 180 meters, which is exactly, what it said we would have. And if you do 30 times 45, you should get the 1,350 like we already talked about there. So because they gave us the problem in words, we'll give the answer in words. We'll say here that the dimensions of the plot of land are 30 meters by 45 meters. And that is the solution to problem number 5 from worksheet H4-4. Remember, there's more than one way you can do that, but as long as you're getting it one of those ways, that's all that matters. If you have questions, please make sure you bring them to class.